What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 12 of Let's Talk Wrestling. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in wrestling at the minute because it is the biggest week of the year in wrestling. Yes, it is WrestleMania week. Today's Thursday, tomorrow is Friday Night SmackDown and the Hall of Fame. The day after is night one of WrestleMania and NXT Stand and Deliver, I believe. And obviously the day after is night 2 of WrestleMania, where we get the John Cena versus Cody Rhodes main event, along with a huge host of other matches. So yeah, but today I'm not going to be talking about the WrestleMania card. I'll probably do that tomorrow or Saturday when everything's locked in. We know all the matches and all that good stuff. Today I'm going to be talking about the lead up to WrestleMania, more specifically WWE's Mania Week PR sort of appearances, which have went a little bit south. I've seen some tweets about it, and everyone's saying like every time I've seen a WWE superstar or employee in an interview this week, it's been terrible, and that's fair to say. It's went a bit sideways for WWE. Starting off with Nick Khan's interview, he didn't say anything crazy, basically just shitting on AEW, which talking about Tony Khan's dad. They say like, yeah, the dad throwing loads of money around and stuff like that. A bit sort of disrespectful, somewhat, but it's got a bit of heat. Like Ricochet, I saw him. He quote tweeted it or something saying that place fucking sucks, and I think it will. WWE definitely will have went down in some people's estimations given what's happened this week. Obviously, WWE is very mainstream now with the Netflix deal and everything, and they're probably thinking any publicity is good publicity, which it really isn't. But I mean, most people aren't really going to see some of this stuff. Like, they might see the interviews and they might really not care enough. They'll just like remember that it's WrestleMania and they might watch, and that's why they do the appearances and stuff like that. Even though I think Triple H said it's like a show that doesn't need any hyping up or anything like that, but I digress anyway. So that was the first interview of the week, and then we had Triple H's interview with that guy, some Flagrant or something. His podcast's called Andrew Schultz, is it? Who's a bit of a dick. I think I don't know much about him, but I think he's a bit dodgy. And he had the interview, and there's some really weird parts of it. He had the whole MAGA Trump supporting part about, he was basically just talking about different sort of wrestling business phrases like getting heat and stuff like that, when he's a real guy. He runs a country. He shouldn't be getting heat or doing things like that. So he's not a good worker, Hunter. He's supposed to lead a country. I have not watched any of these interviews, so I'm only really dealing with quotes here. So obviously don't quote me on it, because I don't know the full context. I'm just sort of giving my piece on what I know. I will probably go and listen to some of it after this, which sounds a bit backwards, but I'd rather just get the video out, I suppose, and just go over what I sort of know. He said, fuck being a critic, be a fan, which I know the internet wrestling community, or IWC as I'll probably refer to them from now on in the video, can be very overly critical, and that's true. We're a fickle bunch. People get too over, and then people don't like them, like Jey Uso, for example, who did have some comments about him in the Triple H interview. He said, yeah, Jay's not the best worker, but he's charismatic and stuff like that. And why would you even say that is what I'm not understanding. I do get being upfront with it, but just say, Jay wouldn't be here if he wasn't a great wrestler. Something that's all that needed to be said, really. When in reality, it's probably more like Jay wouldn't be here if he wasn't an Anoa'i and related to that man right there. But we'll get on to him. Don't worry about that. So he said that, and he said the thing about stop being a critic, be a fan. What do you think? What do you think gives you the right to not be criticised? I mean, mainly, I think he was probably used to, because he definitely has a Twitter burner account. He's an undercover like person in the wrestling community, definitely on Twitter and stuff like that. And he said he does check it, I think, or sources have said he's like checking his phone in Gorilla, seeing what people are saying about it. And I think in the early stages, like when he took over in 2022 from Vince over here, who's also very MAGA affiliated, which we'll get onto as well. I think it was very overwhelmingly positive, especially like going into his first Mania and then huge Mania. Obviously, a big call to have Cody lose, and then you come out of that and there's a great year and it's a really big WrestleMania, huge match, one of the biggest matches of all time, and you had the great build with the final boss and everything. But the fans made that. The plan was going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns, which is a match I'll also get onto in some other comments. And the fans hijacked that with the "We want Cody" whole hashtag and like thing, movement, the "We want Cody" movement, and the Cody crybabies, and they pivoted, and that's because they listened to the fans. This time around, I feel like Triple H thinks he's invincible and he can't do any wrong, when actually he has. The worst thing he's done for me is not pulling the trigger on Chad Gable. That pissed me off. I do not understand that. Chad Gable was incredible. Guys like Andrade and Carmelo Hayes as well should be on TV, should have won the US title from LA Knight instead of Shinsuke Nakamura. I do appreciate him giving Shinsuke Nakamura a title run, and I do really like Shinsuke Nakamura, but he is not the same star anymore, and he didn't really need that run. I much would have preferred Andrade or Carmelo Hayes getting it, and they should be featured more. Carmelo shouldn't be with The Miz, stuff like that. Triple H has made mistakes, definitely. And I know it wasn't necessarily him. The Rock and Ari Emanuel and all of that would have stepped in. If The Rock says, yeah, I can do the Roman match, which is probably the biggest dream match in wrestling at the minute, especially to outside fans and stuff like that. I understand that they would want to go with it and it wouldn't be Triple H's full decision, and maybe he was pulling for Cody a bit, but the fans pulled for Cody and they made that change. And now it's like we're not allowed to criticize, when criticizing last year was the reason why WrestleMania was so huge and why Cody finished the story, which does not make sense at all, why we cannot critique anymore. And he's obviously seen the backlash to this Mania build, and people aren't really happy. People weren't happy with the Jay winning the Royal Rumble decision. I wasn't either. I think it's been better in recent weeks with the build, with like Jay's serious promo was fantastic, and he is a good promo. He is a really emotive, strong promo, overall promo cutter, I suppose you could say. And I really like that serious one. And then the next week, he comes out and does the yeet shit again, which killed his character. I understand that it made him boom in popularity, and it's mainly the reason why he won the Royal Rumble, because he does the yeet and he has a cool entrance. But he was a much better all-round character before that, when he was in the Bloodline, when he was coming out of the Bloodline. He was fleshed out. He wasn't just Yeet Man. And that's why people didn't like it, because LA Knight had the same criticisms where he was just like, yeah, that was his whole thing, but it wasn't. He does that, but it's not every promo all the time, yeah, like it is with Yeet, and it's become insufferable. And that's why the fans didn't want that, because Punk or Cena should have won it. Cena, fantastic. Having him turn heel was great. I understand that this is now the last time, the only chance you have to do it, so that's fair enough. No problem with me. I would have much preferred the build if Cena actually showed up, though. It'd be better if he showed up. And when he has shown up, not much has really happened. The Rock hasn't been there, so they're not really elevating the Rock storyline. The Rock's barely been mentioned at all in the entire build. So, the whole build has been a bit disappointing. The Street Profits aren't defended the tag titles on WrestleMania, which pisses me off, because that is the hottest tag division that WWE has. Full stop. Across every brand, including NXT, across both genders, is the best tag division they have. And not only are they not doing it at WrestleMania, they're just having Motor City Machine Guns, who I love. They're great. They're fantastic. It's great to see them in WWE after all this time. We've got some great dream matches because of it. But they're just doing the one-on-one match when at WrestleMania it could have been DIY, Los Gaza, Pretty Deadly, Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns. Five-way ladder match. Five-way, just, you know, that big tag match they normally have. It could have been anything, but they're not even doing it on the Mania card when that is a Mania match. That is a huge, you know, it's a barnstormer. Is that the phrase? I'm pretty sure that's the phrase. That's a huge pick-me-up sort of match in the middle of the night. You know, it's not a sleeper match because people would expect that to be really good. That's not on there. Lyra Valkyria isn't defending her title on there, but she's in a women's tag title match, which, why? The other tag titles are on the show, which is good. Chelsea Green isn't on it at the minute. The IC title is being defended in a fatal four-way, which is really, really good. The US title with Jacob. Some parts of the build have been good, some parts haven't, and Triple H should not be immune to criticism. I just don't really get it, but I'm going to get off of him now. Roman Reigns today has came out as a Donald Trump supporter. He said he's very centrist, but he's a registered Democrat voter. I don't know much about American politics, so I'm not going to get into it loads because the video's already quite long. I understand that most of the WWE is probably Trump supporters. You know, most of America is. He won the popular vote, so there is going to be a lot, especially wrestlers. You know, it's a certain type of person, I suppose, and who are more likely to be Trump supporters. You know, you got one there, you got one there, you got one there. The rest of the guys, I don't think so. Cody isn't. I'm pretty sure. Rollins and Punk, I feel like they definitely aren't. Kevin, I don't think so either. Can he vote? He's Canadian. I don't think he is. Drew probably isn't either. I mean, he's a Rangers fan, so, but yeah, Roman has came out as a Trump supporter in a Vanity Fair interview, which I haven't watched, but I don't know why. Why did that come up? Did they ask him directly? Because I know they asked him about the Janelle Grant lawsuit and all of that, and I think he dealt with that one well, but I don't know why he said that thing about Trump. He did say that he doesn't agree with everything that Trump has done or Trump says, which I understand because I'm guessing that's linked to do with the cancer research funding cuts that he's made, because as a guy who's had leukemia 3 times and battled it for a large portion of his life, there's no defending that. You know, the guy has done charity work himself and GoFundMes and stuff like that, and you cannot defend cutting cancer research because it is proven to work. The guy's a dickhead and just thinks it doesn't work because there's not a cure yet. There probably is if you're rich enough. If Donald Trump got cancer, he would definitely be cured. I'm just saying. But yeah, just seems like a weird time, really weird time. And you don't need to say it at all either, to be fair. But why would you do it before WrestleMania? Maybe it is a publicity stunt. You know, most of America are Trump supporters. That's how you get people to watch. You know, the top guy in the company is a Trump supporter. I think he'll get beat. I do think CM Punk is going to win. I'll get onto those. I don't know why I've got CM Punk here, actually. Because he hasn't said anything in the media, but he's very, very different. You know, he supports transgender rights and, you know, stuff like that, and Palestine, which is obviously great. It's a lot better than supporting Trump. Cody has also been quite clear about it on Twitter and stuff like that he isn't a Trump supporter, other than like his neck tattoo being a bit of a look. It doesn't mean anything like that. He just says he's pro-America, and you know, Cody seems like a good guy. I like when the wrestlers you like seem like a good guy instead of a Trump supporting dickhead. And on to the 3 final ones. These are the best publicity WWE's got. Kevin Owens is obviously, unfortunately, not at the show. I think he just said something about like the fans coming up to him at airports and like what not to do. And then Drew McIntyre came up with like a do and don't list and basically said wear deodorant. Because, you know, some wrestling fans stink. That's fair enough. That shouldn't be some of the best publicity at the show. But Seth Rollins definitely been on the best PR run. PR guy has to be loving Seth Rollins out of everyone else, because the only thing Seth Rollins has really said is fuck Hulk Hogan, because he's a racist bastard. And that's fair enough. The things he's done are indefensible, and I understand the separating the art from the artist, but to be fair, Hulk Hogan was never much of an artist. The guy was a shit wrestler, let's be honest. Maybe in Japan he could go a bit, and he was a good performer and all that, but anyone could have done what he was doing, voided out his head. Most of it was just about the look and the theme song and carrying a American flag. Some people will put him on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Personally, I don't. He's a racist wanker, and his finisher was a leg drop, and he used to no sell for people. He politic. He was a dick. Let's be clear. He was an absolute dick. What else did Seth Rollins say? He basically said that if he was given the pen, if he was the booker, the writer of the storylines in WWE, he would look for the Rock versus Roman match straight away, because people wouldn't like it as much as they think and wouldn't want it as much when they actually see it, which I'm a really big fan of, because that match would not be great, would it? Roman doesn't work much anymore, neither does The Rock. I think they'd both obviously give it their all because they're professionals, and it'd be the biggest match in probably years, but neither of the guys can go great, and at this point in time, really, they've both definitely slowed down. And is there going to be a lot of bloodline shenanigans? Probably, because it just wouldn't be very exciting, the two of them, I feel like. But yeah, I really like Seth. He's went up in my estimations for that, definitely. And I still don't want him to win. I want Punk to win, but yeah, just not Roman. But I don't get why he's saying any of that. Same with Triple H. I mean, you're not above it, mate. You've been a booker for like what, 2.5 years maybe, and yeah, like 2.5 years, and you think you're immune to criticism because you've done a few good things, and he's shit the bed on some other things. To be fair, his long title reigns for no reason, only having like title changes at big pay-per-views for no apparent reason. Because I've seen some people, I saw one tweet saying that this feels like Game of Thrones season 8, which for people that haven't watched the show or don't understand it, I mean, I haven't watched the show either, but Game of Thrones is obviously supposed to be one of the best series of all time. It ended in season 8 and everyone said it wasn't the same. I think they were different writers or something, and it felt like that. Like this, obviously WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. Everything throughout the year, and throughout subsequent, no, that means after, doesn't it? Like everything just in general leads up to WrestleMania. So, and this feels like a bit of a build. Like I thought last year, like some people were saying, like it felt like the end of sort of WWE. No, not the end. Like it had peaked. Like they're not going to reach these levels again. And I think that's what they're sort of struggling with, like hitting the same heights as last year, and they haven't. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm not as negative as some people. I see some people just completely shitting on it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to Cody Cena, obviously, just to see which way that goes. I think the triple threat on night 1 will be great. Gunther versus Jay, I'm interested to see how they go about that. Logan Paul versus AJ should be good. The women's triple threat should be a pretty great match. Jacob, will be interesting to see if he wins it. The IC title match should be great. There's a lot of good stuff. New Day versus War Raiders. Lyra and Bailey, interested to see if Bailey maybe turns on her. But heel Bailey again, are we ready for that? I feel like face Bailey is a little bit stale sometimes after everyone gets a bit stale after so long, but I don't know if I see her turn heel already. I mean, she's been face for a while, but yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up anyway because we're getting to 20 minutes and I've said everything I want, and it's WrestleMania season, so I'll definitely have a lot to talk about anyway, and I'll cover all that probably in tomorrow, where I'll be doing my WrestleMania predictions, I think. So yeah, if you're looking forward to that, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I probably would have left it up in this corner earlier in the video on the eye. So yeah, click that and you'll be taken to subscribe to the channel. If you're looking forward to any other uploads I've got planned, then please do hit the notification bell and you'll be updated on any uploads. If there's something specific you'd like to be updated on when I upload it, and you know, I need to know what that is. So yeah, if you do have any video suggestions, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll get to them ASAP. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Probably tomorrow, hopefully, for my WrestleMania predictions. Goodbye.